Mike Owens. I knew that.
Yeah, you could tell that.
You can tell that a mile away.
It's very distinctive.
Mhm.
It is warm.
Put the air on.
Oh, yeah.
We're live.
One thing you can,
Oh,
one thing you can
of
be
course.
sure of in this room, it's either extremely hot or extremely
Extremely
cold.
cold. We
It's
can,
never in the middle.
oh, you can at least put the blower fan on, I mean, I think that'd be all right. Lorraine, how are you?
She called me, but this road. Yeah, I didn't know.
Hanging in there.
How you doing? Good. So, what's new?
Nothing fancy. What's new?
Am I allowed to ask you?
Nope, because we're live.
Refrain from that. What's this?
I was walking today.
Yeah. Hey, Bumps.
How you doing, all right?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Feel all right?
In the hospital 2 days ago.
Get out. What'd you get?
Twisted my back, I could hardly move.
You've had problems with that. All right,
I have my
fool.
back. Yeah, a couple, what, probably like almost a year ago, I had to go by ambulance. I managed to get down there on my own. They gave me X-rays, everything's fine. They gave me a shot of pain medicine and put me on steroids.
Good hell.
Yeah, it's sore, but it's sore because, just, they said it would naturally be sore if the pain should subside, and it did. So, yeah, but other than that, I'm just dandy. It was a tough 24 hours, I guess. I was up in the air, I wasn't gonna be able to make the meeting today, so. Mm-hmm. Guy we're hiring for public works, he has a CDL license.
Yeah, that's, full-time, so I don't know off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I should ask.
Because we agreed that
Yeah, that's what
we wouldn't hire anybody, or at least obtain one.
yeah, yeah, I'll make sure.
Okay. I didn't want to ask you in public.
I appreciate that.
I don't know, I guess not. Is Joe going to be there? Where's Rick at?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's in the front.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
We got a quorum.
238, right? Resolution 238.
Sure. Yeah.
Looking at the recorder, right? I hate the other councilman. Every one of them. Doesn't know anything.
I don't know. I'm always dry. I got to do it for. Yeah, I take them muscle relaxer and they steroid. Yeah, that pain's you got pain shot. It's going to burn a little. The needle's about that long. Oh, wow. Good, how you doing? Okay, yeah, I kind of make There you go.
What's that?
You look tired.
That's it.
That's right, we got live mic here.
I was this way, he was running around, he was running around, but I was, 2 days ago, I was in the hospital, with my back went out, so now I'm on steroids and, like a muscle relaxant. Steroids, the initial needle pain really worked out well, and then now the steroids. Quick recovery, really, it wasn't bad. I was up walking around today without a problem. Yesterday,
True.
nothing worse than back pain.
We had Diana a little bit. The day, cases yesterday. He's scooting all over the world.
Your true personality came out.
You know, and he's
As a matter of fact, I called my son to help me get out in the car, in his car. That's how bad it was. The time before that, though, the way out, I had to have an ambulance. So when he goes out, he goes out. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm telling you, when it goes, I know, it looks mine, it sounds like, I go, it just, yeah, I did. I was getting out of my wife's car, it's a small car. And I twisted, I felt, it was good for a couple of days. And then,
Sorry.
yeah, no problem.
I want to be out of here early. I'm surprised. Here you're with me, you picked on it.
Well, you have to work this so that when he gets here, he's ready to go.
Okay, this meeting is called to order. Everyone, please rise for the flag salute, and if we could also do a moment of silence for the victims in Maine today.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Bruno? She absent?
She's absent.
Councilmember Owen?
Here.
Councilmember DePamphlis?
Here.
Councilmember McCary?
Here.
Councilmember McGuigan?
Here.
Councilmember Dill?
Here.
Council President Johnston?
Here. Also present is Mayor Glasser, Administrator Frost, Confidential Assistant to the City Clerk Julianne Canucio, City Solicitor Smith, and City Engineer Snyder. Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate of this notice of this meeting has been provided. The agenda for this meeting is posted in City Hall and on the city's website, summerspointgov.org. Just the first order of business, I'm going to ask for a motion to table ordinance number 25. And I'm going to ask our engineer to just go through the new information that we have. We had another public safety meeting today and had some new information pertaining to this, so.
Yeah, this ordinance refers to the three-way proposed stop at Dawes and Bay Avenue. After reviewing additional studies from various traffic agencies, the data shows that three-way stop signs are not very effective in actually slowing traffic down. It's therefore recommended by myself, along with the police chief, that the city not move forward with the three-way stop at Dawes and Bay Avenue at this time.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to table.
You want to do that now? Is that okay?
Do that now.
Okay.
Second.
Do I need a roll call or just? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ordinance number 25
Madam President,
tabled. Yes, sir.
if I may, I just would like to acknowledge the number of neighbors in that vicinity that came out tonight to discuss that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any communications to offer? Mr. Mayor?
Good evening, Council President. Thank you. I would just like to add more personal thoughts. A local unit of the International Guard is also deployed to the Middle East. It kind of gets personal when my daughter-in-law is within that group. I just want everyone to think about them. They're South Jersey people. They're our friends, our neighbors, our families that are potentially going into harm's way, and keep them in your thoughts and prayers. With that being said, I would like to just add that great things happened this weekend as far as Horsepower by the Bay put on by our Historical Society, and it's always a great event for those who are interested in cars, etc. But it just highlights Summers Point again. And then that evening, on the same property, at the old nursing home property, Trunk or Treat was put on by our police department. And again, I understand it was a great event. I wasn't able to make it, but it was definitely a great event. I thank everyone, the police for the Trunk or Treat, and of course the Historical Society. And again, all these things highlight Summers Point, and I'm just proud of them. This week, the 31st, of course, is Halloween. It will be from 6 to 8 here in Summers Point. I just caution everybody to be out there and be careful. And, you walk in the streets. We're going to have our police department out, keep an eye on things, but when you're walking around, make sure you just be careful out there. And then, it's been released, of course, Veterans Day is Saturday, November 11th at 11 o'clock a.m. A local chiropractor, Dr. Larry Lemieux, will be from the former Marine. I guess you're never a former Marine. But he will be the speaker, and it will be at Patriots Park. So I hope to see everybody there, and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Smith?
I have nothing, thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I went out of order. Mr. Frost?
I did actually just want to give a brief update. Members of the Budget Committee know that we're kind of marching towards a shared service agreement with Egg Harbor Township's MUA. The anticipated start date of that contract is hopefully the beginning of next year. In the meantime, November and December, we're going to start providing basic services to the HDMUA on an invoice basis, meaning, we're going to charge them for the services, obviously. But just in case anyone sees any sewer vehicles in EHT or those 2 months, that's what's happening. And the idea is that come the first of the year, we should have this agreement hopefully squared away.
It's a very beneficial shared service agreement to both towns, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's the plan. Fingers crossed.
Great. Mr. Snyder?
Yes, there is a pre-construction meeting scheduled for Tuesday, the 31st, for the Ocean Avenue project, also the repaving of Exton, Devon, and Colwick Drive project is also scheduled for right after the first meeting. We spoke with the contractors for both projects, and they anticipate getting started right away, most likely the next day, Wednesday, the 1st of November.
That's great news. Thank you. Okay, committee reports. We have Charles Habercorn here from Economic Development Advisory Commission to give us his quarterly update. Everyone has a packet in front of them that he's going to go through with us. So, welcome.
Thank you for having us. Chuck Westcott,
isn't able to be here. He would normally do this, but he's traveling and unable to be here. You do have a deck of information in front of you. I did want to just start out by what is EDAC. We always like to start out our meetings that way. EDAC's purpose is to advise City Council of future and current conditions of economic development in the city of Summers Point. The second part of that reads, our mission would read, primary purpose to market the economic strength of the city in order to provide stability with our existing businesses while encouraging future development within the city limits. We, as you all know, in June, Performance Marketing came on as our marketing company. They've been doing a lot of Facebook posts, Instagram posts, and in this deck you'll see some results of that. The scorecard that you all wanted to see, we have. We also started the Do You Love Summers Point campaign. I'll touch on that a little bit as I go through here. And we've started marketing to a business of the month for recognition, and we've done 2 of those, and I'll touch on that also. The top part of the Advise City Council of Future and Economic Conditions, we did a SWOT analysis, a strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat assessment, and that is in here also, and I'll touch on that as I go through the presentation. If you go to the second page that reads Social Media Report, that is the beginning of some of the metrics that I'll touch on. There's also an article that is going out about the grants that we've received here in the city. Janice has looked at that, as well as Mayor Glasser, and Jason has also looked it over to make sure the content is correct. That should be going out here in the next week. If you go to the next page in there, it has a number 3 up in the top right. The report overview states social media analysis, Facebook account performance, June 1st through October 20th. That would be the period that performance marketing has been on with us. The highlights are Facebook reach is up by 87%, and that's for this period versus January through March. January through May, before they came on. Facebook posts have created 56,400 accounts. They've contacted that in the last 90 days. This is a 51.4% increase over the preceding 90 days. And this 90 days actually does take into consideration the first part, the first month that performance marketing has been with us. So it is a big increase. And that's what you all wanted to see from us. How was this performance working? And that's the overview. If you go to the next page, which has a number 4 up in the top, this is just breaking everything out in graphic representation. It talks about the 110,148 reach. It shows a couple high points where the reach was the biggest. In one case, that was a picture that was taken from a vessel towards the beach during the beach concerts. We had a high peak on that, but I'll show you that a little bit later. The post reach were also 56.4 thousand, and that's a big increase, as I mentioned. Page 5, the bottom part of page 5 talks about the followers that we've picked up, and it's largely women between the ages of 35 and 64. Well, that's all well and good, but now we have to figure out where we're missing. So we're going to work with performance marketing to see how we can even increase that reach. So that's a to-do. Go to page 6. It's got a 6 up in the right-hand corner. There's a picture of the from the boat to the bay. This was one of our spikes. I think, Rick, it's your picture you actually took and sent to us, so thank you for that. And Mr. Shalkos, he was here last month and talked about how the beach concerts were the highest attendance post-COVID. I do think some of this marketing helped in that way, but it's really hard to determine how much. But I do believe we were hitting it very hard, and I do think it was a help. The bottom part of page 6 is when the Hallmark store opened up. That was a big hit. The post reach with 13,479. That was another one of our big hits, and that was a long line that day. People were talking about how they'd seen it on Facebook. We were there to welcome them. A lot of good buzz. I think that's key. We're getting a lot of good buzz here in the city. There was actually an article in Shore Local last week that talked about how businesses are moving to Summers Point. That's good. We have to get these positive articles out there. Then we go on to look at what's next, is page 7, 8, and 9. That's the November social media content. I'm not going to go through each one of these events. The purpose of this was to show that each month we come out with a calendar, the events that are going on in the city. We review that, we make sure we have everything right on the calendar. So it really does help us get the Facebook out, and the Instagram out there. When you see an F in the column that says platform, that's for Facebook. The I is for Instagram. You will see some things on here twice, because we have one thing going on Facebook and another thing going on Instagram. So this goes out every month, and it is reviewed. If you jump ahead to page 11, page 11 is an e-newsletter that's come up. That e-newsletter goes to the people that have scanned our QR code, and we have a list of over 200 people, and we really haven't pushed this out. We're going to start pushing this out heavy to the businesses in November to try to grow that 200 membership email. But this newsletter goes out as an e-newsletter to those folks, letting them know where to eat, where to play, where to stay, and where to shop in the city. It also reaches out to businesses saying, if you want to be part of this e-newsletter, please contact us. So we're trying to get the businesses to come back and forth with us, and that comes from Chuck's involvement with the Summers Point Business Association. We're trying to link up there to make this strong. But if you guys can get people to join our email, one of the things I'd like to talk about with our team next at the next EDAC meeting, is there a possibility of getting this QR code in a citywide mailer possibly? Because I know people sometimes have difficulty going to the calendar. If you scan this, you go right to the calendar, and this would help people be able to see what's going on in town. So we have to talk about that and see if there is a vehicle to do that. Page 12, we talked about the shoulder seasons. This talks about the yard sale that went on, the citywide yard sale. The next page talks about fall in love with Summers Point. Again, do you love Summers Point? We're trying to keep an involvement going that way. If I can just change gears for one moment, I know I'm taking longer than I probably should, but I'm going to just talk a little bit about the SWAT. We sat as a group, our committee. Each person gave 3 strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We went around in a round robin, so we got those all posted. We then took those, gave everybody a piece of paper and a pen, and said, rank the top 3 in each category. We did that, and then we took a vote. So as a vote, these are the strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats we came up with. We have some more work to do on this. We'll be doing it at our November meeting. So at our next posting, we'll be coming back to you with with some more detail around why we believe these are the things and what might be able to be done. One of the outgrowths we'd love to have happen as an EDAC team is when the vision planning and the master plan is being done, the economic portion of that, the economic development portion of that, we'd love to have a role in that, just so that we could take all the things that we've talked about as a commission, try to relay them back in. So you'll see more about this SWOT analysis with more detail going forward. We're not taking the eye off the ball on the marketing, because we know we're spending money there. So I hope that gives you kind of a recap of what we're doing, how we're doing, and how we're measuring potentially success. Any questions?
Thank you.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
John, what's the reach that we have in terms of this program? For instance, if you're sitting in Philadelphia and you're thinking about going down the shore for the summer, are folks in Philadelphia being able to pick this up, or other areas?
Yeah, our big reach right now is when you're here.
Okay.
When people decide to come down, how do we reach them when they're on vacation here?
Okay.
Using this Do You Love Summers Point and the e-newsletter, if they're here and they hit this,
Right.
we can hit them every single month with a letter.
Right.
So we're trying to do this two-pronged. We don't have the money in the budget to reach out too far out.
Okay.
So the whole idea and the concept, and I think it's working, is to hit people when they're on vacation.
Okay, all right.
That answer you, Joe?
Yes, it does.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks.
That was great. Anyone else have any committee reports to offer? Okay, hearing none. Let's see. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 12th, 2023 meeting, please?
I'll make that motion.
So moved.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. We'll move on to ordinance number 24.
Ordinance number 24 of 2023, an ordinance creating and adopting a new Chapter 215, public consumption of cannabis, marijuana, and hashish of the Summers Point Municipal Code.
This is the second reading for this ordinance. Can I have a motion to open for public comment, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open for public comment on ordinance number 24. If you wish to speak, please step forward and state your name for the record. Could I have a motion to close, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now closed for public comment. Could I have a motion for ordinance number 24?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ordinance number 24 is adopted. Ordinance number 26.
Ordinance number 26 of 2023, an ordinance vacating a portion of Jefferson Avenue in the city of Summers Point, county of Atlantic, state of New Jersey.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This is the first reading for ordinance 26, so we'll open for public comment at the next meeting. Could I have a motion to open for public comment on any resolutions?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open for public comments on resolutions only. Could I have a motion to close, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now closed for public comment on resolutions. Resolution number 230, please.
Resolution number 230 of 2023, Chapter 159 Resolution, Local Arts Grant, Summers Point Arts Commission, Special Project Support.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 230 is adopted. Number 231, please.
Resolution number 231 of 2023, Chapter 159 Resolution, Local Arts Grant, Summers Point Concert on the Beach, Special Project Support.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 231 is adopted. Resolution number 233.
Resolution number 233 of 2023, acknowledging and approving the hiring of a full-time laborer, namely Michael Simmons.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments?
Council President, both, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but these next two resolutions are replacing retired or employees who left our employment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
There's no additional new employees involved. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 233 is adopted. Number 234.
Resolution number 234 of 2023, part-time hiring of Kevin Mueller as electrical subcode official.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 234 is adopted. Number 235.
Resolution number 235 of 2023, appointment of consultant to create a bayfront mitigation plan in accordance with flood mitigation assistance grant, fiscal year 2021, EMN-2021-FM-020-0013, administered by the Federal Management Agency.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 235 is adopted. Number 238, please.
Resolution number 238 of 2023, authorizing purchase on building supplies.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved. Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 238 is adopted. Anyone have anything on the consent agenda that they would like pulled for further discussion? Okay, hearing none, could I have a motion for the consent agenda,
I'll
please?
make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is adopted. Okay. Under old business, so we received the response from the planning board in reference to the proposed ordinances regarding the bike rack requirement and tree planting. Is that in here or not?
Yes, yes, they are.
It's in here?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I'll do this. So in reference regarding the bike rack requirement, I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm just going to read that the board did recommend that the bicycle parking ordinance should provide that a bicycle rack must accommodate electric and regular vehicles. In conclusion, motion was made and seconded to find the bicycle rack ordinance consistent with the city's master plan, subject to the above recommendations. So I guess,
I'd like to comment on this, and I'd like to comment on this and the other ordinance before I go ahead and prepare it, just to so everyone understands where we're going with this. And actually, I didn't expect it to go the way it went, Councilman Wiggin, the last time we were here with this, but it's okay. But I did actually meet with Councilman Wiggin and Mr. Helbig, who was involved in all this. So the bicycle rack, one of the issues I had, and that was corrected in this, was the amount of minimum of bicycles that we could have at a rack, and it's 5. I would suggest that we have a maximum put on this. It can always be a waiver, but this is an open-ended, don't mean to ignore your council. This is a little open-ended, and I would just suggest we modify that with the maximum amount. And if Councilman McGuigan wants to get back to me either tonight or on another occasion.
can we first have the discussion as everyone's opinion on these before we talk about that?
Okay, I mean, I'm just, okay, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, that's okay, I just wanted to,
The discussion can take place also in the first reading of the ordinance, too. So.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I just thought that if, you trying to make this a little more orderly,
Right,
that's all.
okay.
Madam President, considering that, should I'd like to make a motion to table this until we can do that?
Well, there's nothing to table.
Well-
There's nothing to table.
On right now, this is just discussion, so it's not being considered. That's why I sort of.
It's for clarity purposes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I-
If everyone says we want to do this, then Tom Smith
Right.
goes back and tweaks it, and it's on the agenda of the next council meeting.
So let's start with the bike rack requirement and just get everybody's opinion on whether or not you want to move forward with this ordinance, so.
I would like to move forward with the ordinance. And as far as the size of the bike racks, personally, I think 5 is enough, 5 per, not necessarily a minimum, but a minimum and a maximum would be 5.
Okay, I'm okay with, I'm not crazy about telling people what they need for their business, but I feel like this ordinance will help us with our designation for our bike-friendly community, so I think this will be helpful. So I'm okay with moving forward with this one. Mr. DePamphlis?
I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I don't, it would certainly help with the designation, but more importantly, it's going to encourage people, or make it easier for people to ride their bikes, which, in my opinion, is a good thing for the community. I'm not sure. I guess we'll go back to the maximum thing or whatever, but that's, I'm all for it.
Okay, Mr. Owen?
I was thinking 6 bikes, you get one on each, on the outside and 2 on both sides in the middle. I think they might be able to max out with 6, possibly.
That's fine.
But yeah, I'm good with it.
I think we just need to, like I know Planet Fitness has one they have a lot of people that ride their bike there, so certain businesses might need more than others, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know when we want to really get caught up in super details of
I think we could leave that up to the planning board.
bike rack.
I'll finish it off.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, sure, let's hear from Mr. McCary.
Okay.
That's, yeah.
So I think that obviously we're going to do something here, but at the same time, I think that we're missing one council person here. That happens to be a person who is a Democrat. She has a view on this. I think it's important to get her view. So before we do anything that is concrete, I think we have to engage her in this conversation. I don't think it would be fair for us just to go ahead and move forward.
Address that. If we do a first reading, she'll have the opportunity then, and hopefully she'll be back full of vinegar and whatever.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, so we'll have that at the next meeting for the first reading.
Yes, okay. So the reason why I'm suggesting a maximum is because I think if you leave it open-ended and you have a difficulty at the planning board, someone not liking a decision from the planning board seeking some type of waiver, it leaves it wide open to what the planning board can do. It's just...
So if we make,
You need some type, it's too subjective. You need an objective ordinance. That's why I said you had to actually have some type of requirements in it, not just bike racks, because, business Joe Schmo puts in a rack that only holds one bike.
Well,
And then other Planet Fitness comes in.
so the planning board would have, if someone comes in and they want to put in a 20 bike rack, the planning board would have
They can do that.
the option
Waiver. I'm not-
to do a wait, right, but
I just said you can't have an ordinance that's just so open-ended.
Yeah, but it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it says a minimum for 5 bikes. That
Well,
seems
there's the
rather...
minimum, there's the
Right,
maximum. So
well,
if you plan-
but if somebody wants to put in 30 bike, I'm all for it.
It's not precluding them.
Right.
It's, you have to have something concrete in an ordinance so that it's not open-ended. It can't be vague and ambiguous relative to the maximum.
So what you're looking for
I
is,
don't want to put in 50 and
Right.
the planning board says they want 50. And then you're in litigation over them. My job's supposed to.
I hear you.
keep us out of
I'm going to follow your guidance,
Thank you.
whatever you want.
I thought you were wrong.
But it's minimum 5, and like you say, we'll perhaps discuss.
come up with a maximum.
You can-
We'll discuss it later with more
You can
colorful
discuss
language.
this and get back to me, and then we'll have the first
that's
reading,
fine.
we'll have the discussion.
All right, I look forward to
Always
it.
change it up.
I thank the council for their support on this.
okay, we'll move on to the ordinance regarding trees. So I do have a problem with this one. I am going to vote no for this one. I feel it's a couple things. I feel it's an overreach, and I don't think it's good business to make a business pay for something that the planning board is going to agree that they don't need, if they don't, if they can't put in the amount of trees that our ordinance calls for, and the planning board agrees with that, but you're making them pay for them anyway. And the other part of that equation is, I would just like to know, what's the plan, who's going to decide what kind of tree, who's going to decide where it goes, who's going to plant it, who's going to take care of it for the first 2 years of its life when it needs to be watered and pruned, and that's an expense. We already spend thousands of dollars every year to maintain trees in this town, and that's just not even including what Public Works can do. So I just feel like we have an ordinance on the books that says you have to plant 2 trees for every 2,000 square foot. And so there's already an ordinance that tells you have to plant trees, but I feel like this is just overreaching, and it's not good business, and I'm worried about trees being planted where they shouldn't, and then 10 years down the road, your bike path's being ripped up by the roots or whatever, and I just think it needs to be more controlled. And I think there's other ways. If the end goal was to get more trees planted on our public property, I think there's other ways to do that. I don't think this is it, so that's my opinion.
So Smith, I can't find it, what was the final recommendation by the planning board?
Oh, you want me to read that? I'm sorry, I read.
No, that's okay.
But I'll read it. I didn't read, they pretty much didn't recommend any changes, so it's consistent with the master plan, and the board had no recommendations to propose planting tree ordinance, so they approved it as is.
Okay.
Madam President?
Yes.
I recommend that we just table this until we can discuss this further, get more information on it before we go ahead and force businesses to do things or individuals to do things. And also, I'll reiterate that obviously we're missing one of our council people here. She should have a vote on this. It's very important. She represents a lot of constituents, and her view needs to be heard on this. So I think tabling it would be the proper thing to do.
Yeah, I understand.
I understand.
Okay. I mean,
Just wanted
it's just a
to...
discussion.
I know.
If no one
So,
supports it, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
It's whether or not you support to move forward with the ordinance or not.
Yeah. I would say no at this point.
Mr. Allen?
I just think right now we should table it until we have a full council here in front of us. That's all.
Mr. McGuigan?
Thank you, Madam President. A couple things. First off, we have a quorum, so it's unfortunate that Mrs. Bruno's not here. Whether she's ill or whatever's taken her away. I know, well, I'm not going to speak for her. The ordinance itself, Madam President has talked about making it a burden on businesses, and Mr. McCary has alluded to that as well. The current code, the requirement is 2 trees consisting of 8 feet minimum height at planting for each 1,000 square feet of floor area. In accordance with the planting schedule, tree specifications, and the suggested list of tree species available from the construction official. The proposed ordinance would actually lessen that burden. There's a proposed schedule, and for site disturbance of up to 10,000 square feet, 2 trees for every 1,000 square feet of site disturbance. If you go over that, if it's a larger 10,000 to 30,000, it's 1 tree for every 2,000. So under the current code, if I build a 30,000 square foot facility, I would need 30 trees. Or excuse me, 60 trees. So the burden is being lessened. This ordinance, while both environmentally friendly, it is also business friendly. It allows more development and less of a burden on a developer or on a project. The question to the tree, who's going to maintain the trees, it's the same for the existing trees on public land, that's Public Works. Now, trees, obviously, I'm not an arborist or even a landscaper, but I know trees need extra help in their, in the first year or whatever it is, but most trees become self-sufficient or very less maintenance, and to say we don't need the trees, I'm dumbfounded by that. But
Say we didn't need them.
you were concerned about having trees on the bike path and
No, I
driving out
just
the
don't want
fruits.
them
Did
to
you say
be,
that?
I don't want them to, I want them to be planted in the appropriate places. And I feel that there's other ways that we could get trees planted on city property. I'm not saying that I don't want them. I'm saying that I think there's other ways to do it. And I don't think it's right to make somebody pay for something that we agree they don't need. And there's no set pricing, there's no set fee, there's no set tree, there's just no control there of what you're asking this person to do. And I agree, it does, the requirement's less on the proposed ordinance, and that's fine. I don't really have a problem either way, because either way, if they can't fit 30 trees or 60 trees, then they're going to go to the planning board and get a variance, and
Well, I'm not sure what those other methods of getting trees are that you're making reference to, but this, to me, is ideal. It makes both, it lessens the burden, and it makes them a partner, sort of, within the community. And, I'm not sure what else, the argument, it seems very simple to me. If you're concerned about the burden, come up with an ordinance and wipe out the requirement. Thank you.
okay. Mr. Dill?
There was some discussion, I'm surprised there wasn't anything included in the planning board's report, but there was some discussion about it. And one of the things that came up, and I think our engineer responded to the actual, there's a maintenance bond if trees are planted, and
New developers have to post a maintenance bond.
they have to post a maintenance bond, which is good for 2 years as far as the maintenance is concerned.
For the landscaping, yes.
Right.
That's for on their property, though, right?
Yeah, but the way the ordinance sits, they'd have to also put a bond up for the trees that are.
Because I think if you remember correctly, at the planning board meeting, I used the situation with the tennis courts out on Wayne Drive, that they had a problem with those trees, and we had to continue, they had to replace a few trees over a year or 2 year period, okay, and they continued to replace them. That was on city property. So as far as the maintenance requirements to get them vital and up and growing is a 2 year responsibility of whoever's planting the trees.
Yes.
Is that correct? So as far as a burden on the Public Works Department, it's really not a burden on the city or the Public Works Department as far as the maintenance of them is concerned in the first 2 years, because there's a maintenance bond that'll be included in that standard procedure under the planning board.
Yes.
Am I correct? Okay. The other thing too is planning board has the final say, okay? They can apply for an amendment to the ordinance. And the other thing is that it's open too is I believe there's they can contribute to a tree fund in place of that. Okay. And the other thing that was discussed at the planning board was the fact that where the trees go, okay, most of the tree planting would probably be on recreation property. And there was a question about whether it should be code enforcement or wherever the trees are going to be planted, that organization should be the ones that determine where it's located, not necessarily the code enforcement. Am I correct in that, Tim?
It was more the recreation.
Yeah, it shows more than likely the trees are going to be planted either at Kennedy Park, with a bike path, or out on Amber Road, where the senior citizen, or the recreation, I don't know, it changes its name all the time. The senior citizens building is, okay? So that's all recreation property, so I think that, and the ordinance that we develop should also include, if it's put on recreation property, the rec board would have final say in the type of tree and the location.
When I started off earlier on these, I had indicated I had a comment on both of them, and I'm waiting for everyone to go through, and then I'll give you my comment.
Okay.
I have a response.
Okay, that's fine.
So
But I can, at this point, I can support this ordinance the way it is, provided that we have, who is going to say where they are and what types of trees they are. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Mr. DePamphlis.
Well, I'm certainly not against trees. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. But I do have a problem with telling people that buy a house that they have to have
This is commercial.
This is commercial.
commercial
It's
only.
only commercial, and it's only development and redevelopment.
So people,
It's nothing,
New projects.
new projects, yes.
Okay.
if you're
Well, I
buying,
like the idea that it lessens the burden on anyone who's coming in to build something nice, something big, would lessen the burden on them. If that's the case, then I might be for it. I have to think about it.
well, I don't see how it lessens the burden when you're asking them to first pay for the tree and then pay to maintain it for 2 years. That's not really, they're still buying just as many trees, whether they can use them or not.
That's incorrect.
Well, as far as the maintenance, the 2-year maintenance is concerned, that's something that's already included. Okay, just like it was at the tennis courts. That was 5 years ago or more, it was involved there.
I'll use a property over here by the old circle where it was developed, and one of the requirements was put the trees there, the trees all died, and then they had to come back and replace all the trees. And that's the obligation.
Right, so that's the obligation of the business.
But it's all new projects, that's it's usually a planning board function, they handle that kind of stuff. Right. Tell them how many trees, how much buffer they need, and they negotiate with the planning board.
There are some procedural issues with this.
Well, let me get,
Yeah, I'm not sure, council needs to get involved. I don't know.
Madam President, also, I think that the fact that, again, I'll say that Karen's not here, we're making decisions that are going to cost businesses and individuals, or businesses, I should say, in her area money. She should be here, and we shouldn't make the final decision until we have a full council here to review that. And once again, I know you're going to tell me that she'll be here, but I just want to make sure we all understand that we do have someone missing, and it's not fair.
Well, we'll put the ordinance up and...
And she is, and just so you know, she is ill. It's not something,
It's
it's
not,
not serious.
I don't know if
Okay.
that's everybody's business, but why don't we put the ordinance up and give her an opportunity?
well,
Can I-
we have three.
When we-
Wait, I'm listening to the attorney. Sorry
Can
there.
I interject, because procedurally, this is what kind of,
Yeah.
just like what happened last time, you could get a motion, it may not even be on the agenda, you can get a motion and a second, and next thing you know, we have an ordinance on, for a first reading. So I just want everyone to be aware of what could happen. I know we're short one council person, and I just want to point that out. So what we're doing is having a discussion, and regardless of how this discussion goes, it could still be on the agenda the next, not as an agenda item, but could end up being on the agenda because someone made a motion. If council president sets the agenda.
Right.
Okay, just so everyone understands this. She sets the agenda, she doesn't put it on. Joe McMary decides that he wants it on, he makes a motion. Howard Dill says, I think I like that, Howard Dill.
Well, what are you doing? You're giving them a full,
I'm just telling you.
everybody knows what the procedure is.
Well,
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
Oh, well, I
All
just,
right, for the discussion for tonight is that we have 4 noes and 2 yeses to move forward with it. So the discussion for tonight is that the majority of council doesn't want to move forward with it. So what happens at the next meeting happens, and we deal with it then, but
Councilwoman Bruno, and I just want to, everyone appreciates the fact that Councilwoman Bruno is unable to attend tonight. Everyone appreciates that. So you can take how many bites at the apple you ever want. But I just point that out. I mean, there are certain issues with the content of this ordinance also that I would discuss. If you want me to discuss it, I will. If you don't want me to discuss it, that's fine.
well, if there's more information that we should have, then,
Well, as Councilman Dill discussed, we're talking about recreation property. Unless you're going to put the property, the library, or that may be considered recreation, I'm not even sure the way our ordinance is written, or here at the City Hall. But if you're putting it on the bike path, and putting it over by the senior citizen building, you're putting it over by the tennis courts,
Kennedy Park.
you really don't have any say on this at the present time. So the way the ordinance is written,
I don't think,
it says, in consultation with the city council, technically we have to approve it. The recommendations from the reviewing board, environmental commission, and city engineer, meet all the district specific requirements. Right now, this goes to the rec board. They make the determination. So the planning board right now can tell the rec board they'd like to have 10 trees planted at Kennedy Park, and the rec board would say no. And it may surprise everyone here that we don't really have a list of trees that we are approving. So you're now going to have to figure out who's going to make that recommendation, and council president's statement relative to planting certain trees certainly has merit, because at one point someone thought the fairways needed a maple tree out in front of their house, and we look at that for the sidewalks. So I just, you would have to, someone's going to have to work on that, Councilman Williams.
yes, sir. I just want to clarify here. This proposed ordinance does not say recreation property.
no, it's not
Well,
clear.
you can't put it on
Well, you're going to put on city
any
property.
recreation property. The Recreation Commission shall have full control over and provide conduct and supervise public playgrounds, playfields, beaches, swimming areas.
No, I understand that. I understand that.
And other recreation areas and facilities owned or controlled by the city. So anything that's recreation, including the bike path.
Right, I understand that. We could certainly tweak it to say if we want to use the recreation, it'll be subject to recreation
Yeah, I mean,
commission approval.
I'm just saying, we would have to,
Yeah.
just, if this even sees the light of day, I don't know where we're going with this, but I mean, it's gonna be tweaked a little bit, that's all.
I just want to clarify, you're a no, Mr. DePampas?
Right now, yes.
Oh, thanks.
I know you wrote this, right? I'm just-
No, I did not write it. A very dear friend of mine helped me write it. I'm only taking credit
This
for it.
just happened so quick, and I didn't, I'll be glad to discuss it with you.
Yeah, we will.
But just to interject, we could also point out the possibility of having certain trees that we would recommend that they could plant, like,
Well, I think we have to come up with a list.
I mean, Bradford pears, the roots grow straight down, they don't grow out, they don't have surface roots like silver maples. I mean, silver maples provide great shade, but just, or even the dingus trees like the eastern cedar. I'm just putting things out there in front of you.
You're gonna be on that committee if
listen.
it ever gets formed.
Creating that requirement or that list of trees is not a big hurdle. That can be done very easily.
Okay, good discussion, thank you. New business, we need approval for a social fair permit application for Robert Johnson, Post 2189 BFW, for an event on November 17th, 2023, from 7 to 11 p.m., and on December 1st, 2023, from 6 to 11 p.m. And I'm assuming all their paperwork is in?
Yes.
Anyone have any objection? Okay, they are approved. Discussion of the bills, Mr. Frost.
Sure. This evening, we have a bill listing $4,659,913.13. In addition, we have a handful of check registers. One of them is for $434.99. One of them is for $889,889.50. And the final one is $2,990,539.30 for check registers.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to open for public comment, please?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now open for public comment. If you wish to speak, please step up to the microphone and state your name for the record.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anne Marie Gibbs. Good to see you tonight. Just a couple of comments. I wanted to talk about the trees. I didn't know what the ordinance was, but I'm getting a sense that it has to do with trees. Just as a quick reference, the shade, the cooling, the birds, the small animals, the migration, it's important. The cities that are around here, Linwood, for example, which is a tree city, their ratables their taxes are high, but their homes are also high. It's really an advantage to our city to have trees here. And with regard to that parking lot that was built across from Bayview, I don't know if that's open yet, but, they took down all those old, beautiful, local native trees. I've never seen one car in that parking lot. 75 parking spaces.
It's not done yet.
Okay, well, I haven't seen one in there. It'll be nice to see what they end up doing, but they did take down a lot of local trees.
They did a bunch of landscaping yesterday when I went by. They were planting quite a few.
Okay, good. I'll take a look at that.
Municipal restrictions as far as when they can start using it also.
Right.
It's not done yet. Okay. Just keep watching to see if it's going to be used. Hopefully it will be used. And Karen, sorry she couldn't be here. And, the comment came up that if we were on Zoom, I know you're on YouTube, but if you were on Zoom, she could have attended. And I know a few other people could have attended. So just putting it out there. But thank you very much for being here, and go trees.
Thank you.
John Helbig, 106 East Dawes Avenue. As the author of the proposed ordinance, I guess I should say a few things about this. I appreciate council taking the time to look at it. First of all, let me make it clear, this would be in the HC1 and HC2 zones. It's in the business zones. It has nothing to do with our residential housing. The other issues I'd like to talk about, it's a clarification of our existing ordinance. Our existing ordinance requires, in many cases, I'm going to read out of our zoning ordinance. There's a reason our our planning board determined it to be consistent with our master plan. This is right out of our land development standards, okay? For major site plan applications. This would be what a developer would do if he was coming in to develop or redevelop a property in our HC1 or HC2 zone. Saving of trees. This is right out of our ordinance. Every attempt shall be made by the applicant to save existing trees, even at the loss of parking spaces. Clumps of trees should be saved over single trees. Care should be taken by the municipal agency to properly evaluate site clearing proposals, recognizing that wild trees often do not survive when their habitat is drastically altered. Where loss of trees is suggested, replacement should be required. The purpose of the ordinance is to clarify and quantify what a developer would be required to do. As we've indicated, if a developer comes before the planning or the zoning board they can ask for a variance from these provisions. There's something in law, and I would defer to Tom on this, called proportionality or rational nexus. Say, I'll give an example, okay? If this ordinance was adopted, and say somebody wanted to redevelop the Big Wally site, okay? Somebody comes in on Route 9, say they're changing the use at Big Wally's. They want to do a medical distribution center, right? So it's different enough, so our planning board has to review a minor site plan application for Big Wally's, right? So he would come in, under that provision in our ordinance, he would have to do a landscaping plan. But if the goal there was simply to rehabilitate the building, resurface the parking lot, clean up the site, maybe shield the dumpster, there'd be no site disturbance. So under this proposed ordinance, there'd be no tree planting requirement, right? So the idea would be to simplify this for existing businesses coming in and rehabilitating the sites. You know, Council President, I think you've got the whole ordinance incorrect. You don't understand it. It's unfortunate. You could have given me a call. I would have explained it to you. Because the idea here is to simplify our code and make it easier for developers to come in before our planning and zoning board. Our planning board and zoning board, I think, are excellent boards and would give discretion. If an applicant came in and a site had already been cleared, there were no trees on it, and they wanted to redevelop that property, certainly I'm in favor of that. I want to see our city get developed. They make an application for a variance then and say there's no trees on it now, we're not taking any trees down. We're going to do a landscaping plan and just enhance the site. And I would bet that variance would be approved by either our planning or our zoning board. All I'm trying to say here is there's discretion as part of this. You know, it's not a requirement. We can't force developers to double pay or do things that are out of line with what would be proportional to that project. So if there's a misunderstanding about it, I'm sorry, that's probably my fault. I deal with this kind of language my whole life, so it's something I'm used to, but I understand, you know, people that don't deal with it sometimes gets confusing. And I appreciate Councilman McGuire and bringing it before the board and Tom Smith for trying to explain it. And I'd be happy to try to work on it, or, you know, if it goes forward, to tweak it or help out in any way I could. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now closed for public comment.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were looking for, can I have one thing to say?
We closed, that's it.
Motion to open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry, I was just,
My husband spoke so eloquently.
in the moment, I'm sorry.
We weren't sleeping while John was talking. Are you saying that?
Just Maureen Helbig. Just Maureen Helbig.
I just wanted to mention something that from Maryland Avenue to Ocean Avenue on Bay, there are a few 25-mile speed limit signs. I would just like to mention that on Groveland Avenue is the first time you see a 25-mile speed limit sign going towards Ocean. It is, you're unable to see it. There are bushes and trees, but mainly bushes out over the sidewalk so you don't even see the sign if you're driving, and there's bushes or branches from the tree that are obstructing it. Also at Gibbs, there's a sign that's leaned over a little bit, and there are tree branches that are obstructing it. So I just thought maybe to make it so people know that there's a speed limit, maybe they'll think about it if they see the sign.
We did discuss it today about, we'll definitely look at that, but we also discussed putting additional, maybe bigger.
Maybe large.
Speed limit.
That would be great too, because they are very small and old, but I just think, all
Discussion today, yes.
right, thank you.
Okay, like if you come off the Parkway, that first sign is
Right,
gigantic.
strictly enforced, that's what we need,
That's
yeah.
probably what we should be really looking at.
Yeah. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're closed for public comment again. Payment of the bills. Could I have a motion to pay the bills, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? We can now pay the bills. Any further comments from the governing body?
Madam President?
Yes.
Good of the order this past weekend, Horsepower by the Bay, sponsored by Summers Point Historical Society. I want to thank all the vendors and car enthusiasts that came out, all the volunteers, as well as back-to-back with Trunk or Treat with the police-backed, getting the kids out, which is a really good thing for this town. And like I said, I want to thank everyone that's all involved, and look forward to next year.
Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
I think that we all should thank Jason Frost here because he does a great job in finding shared services and helping us reduce our taxes, which we're all looking to reduce. And I don't think we mention his name enough in terms of the great job that he does for the city.
Yeah.
$10, Jason.
Thanks, Steve, too.
Ah, there he is, right there.
Steve, yeah.
I won't tell him to stand up.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Hope you feel better. I will.
After that, that's my back goes.